Coming up on the Stifel Snow Show, all the news from the latest week in snow sports. The cross-country teams were in Goms, Switzerland, where the American women were strong. Once again led by Jessie Diggins, who took home her 19th World Cup victory. Meanwhile, in Cortina, Italy, one of the stages for Alpine skiing at the next Winter Games proved treacherous, but did bring out the best in two-time Olympian Jackie Wiles. And the birthplace of freestyle skiing. Waterville Valley, New Hampshire, is where we witnessed a commanding presence from the American women's Moguls team. Shh, we got this. Welcome along to this week's Stifel Snow Show with me, Cara Banks, bringing you all the latest action on snow from around the world. So, where are the US ski and snowboard team? Home soil for the snowboard and free ski teams as the adrenaline-packed X Games were in Aspen. Staying stateside, the mastery of Moguls were on full display in Waterville Valley, New Hampshire. Then to Europe, where cross-country brought the energy to a serene locale in Goms, Switzerland. Men's Alpine headed to Garmisch-Partenkirchen, Germany, and their Kandahar course. Kronplatz, Italy, held a tech event for women's Alpine. And high-velocity para-Alpine got some Paralympic action in Cortina d'Ampezzo, where we'll start for a crash course in speed. This World Cup season has produced some big-name injuries so far, with more recently added to the list at the Olympia della Tufane course, an upcoming venue for alpine skiing at the 2026 Winter Games in Italy. Fresh off her 95th World Cup win, Mikaela Shiffrin took on the speed event in Cortina but looked uncomfortable from the start, ultimately flying into the safety netting at high speed. Leaving Italy's Laura Pirovano anxious in the leader's chair. Well, the four-time World Cup downhill winner was helped to her feet and painfully chose to limp off of the Olympic course. Grateful her injuries weren't any worse, she did later post thanks to her well-wishers on social media and asked for time to process while simultaneously sending the rest of her team congratulations on their performances. The American has been using the time off the hill to build strength and visit her longtime boyfriend, Alexander Amott-Kilder, in his own recovery from a season-ending crash a few weeks ago in Wengen. Cortina also left the reigning Olympic downhill gold medalist with a season-ending knee injury. Switzerland's Corinne Zuter was heard screaming in pain from a torn ACL, whilst Canada's Val Grenier's hard crash in the Super G requires multiple surgeries. The good news? Cortina seems to evoke all the good downhill vibes for American Jackie Wiles. Let's flash back to 2018, and an electric run saw her secure third in a downhill that was won by her friend Lindsey Vonn. But a week after that accomplishment, a crash in Germany resulted in Wiles missing nearly 2 full years of competition with serious injuries to her left leg. Well, 6 years after that last podium, the 31-year-old battled back on familiar terrain, this time finishing second. Here's how our Steve Perino called it.
And maybe one of the better gliders the U.S. has seen in some time is underway right now. This is Jackie Wiles from Aurora, Oregon. They're struggling a little bit to maintain the line, but look at the determination. Wiles, chest down, aerodynamics at all time, and she's still right on the heels of Mowinkle. Just needs to survive these turns with some good momentum. Stay grounded, a little bit of a long flight there. Jackie Wiles of the Stifel U.S. ski team into second place! Into the second place position! Unbelievable, Jackie Wiles.
Jackie, that was a wild ride.
What an incredible day for Jackie Wiles, a committed climb back from a true odyssey of injury and rehabilitation. But nothing really heals like hugs from Dad, who was there to witness his honey, as always, giving it her all.
Good job, lady. Old ladies do well. Old ladies can do it.
Teammate Mikaela Shiffrin also joined in on the celebratory mood, acknowledging Jackie's emotional performance on social media. These special moments, it seems, always made better with love and support. Norway's Ragnar Winkle took first, with Italy's hometown favourite, Sofia Goggia, rounding it out in third. Well, men's Alpine were at another Olympic site, host of the 1936 Winter Games in Germany. Garmisch is home to the storied Kandahar course, which boasts a 1,765-foot vertical drop. Sunday was definitely fun day for both Ryan Cochrane-Siegel and Olympian River Radamus. Another go at Super G for both, and they laid it out in all of their top 10 loving glory. No fog from the day prior, but the temperatures had altered the footing. RCS confirming the surface changed a lot, but he was driving strong and had a good technical foundation all the way through. Super G, he said, has been a process for him this year, and he was happy with the day. RCS finished 10th. But the best of the US was to come in River Radamus. The Edwards, Colorado native practically learned to ski before he could walk, as both his parents were coaches. Seems as though River was in his comfort zone for this race, and the confidence showed, with Radamus ultimately securing 8th place and a career-best World Cup Super G result. The podium featured Swiss teammate superstar Marco Odermatt in first, and Franjo von Allmen taking third in his first full World Cup season. Raphael Hazer of Austria was second. Well, as you may have noticed, particularly that last race revealed a scarce amount of snow in Europe right now, with far more green and brown surfaces than white. That is not something you want to see as a ski racer. So unfortunately, the high temperatures and unfavourable snow conditions have forced the Women's World Cup race that was scheduled for Garmisch this weekend to be cancelled. Similarly, the conditions have forced cancellation of the 2 men's downhill races that were scheduled in Chamonix, France for this weekend as well. Well, get this, after the break, we have a 2-time Olympic medalist in Moguls join us in studio. That's Shannon Barkey, so stay with us to talk Waterville Valley and more right here on the Stifel Snow Show. I think she's excited. We're back, first with a hop to Goms, Switzerland, to find American powerhouse Jessie Diggins showcasing her sheer athleticism, strength and heart. This athlete can push through anything and everything with, of course, her megawatt smile and fist pump. Dominating from the outset, Diggins came to Switzerland to lay it all on the course. A steep and winding 20-kilometre skate did not deter the 3-time Olympic medalist from Aspen, Minnesota. It never does. To think, an alarm clock malfunction nearly got in the way of a dreamy day for Jessie Diggins. Luckily, the US women's cross-country team did not forget to set the tone for what turned out to be some hard-earned results in the 20-kilometre mass start free. Rising and shining to the occasion, Diggins and teammates Sophia Laukli and Rosie Brennan all turned up impressive performances, but it was Diggins who would cross the finish 0.6 of a second ahead of Sweden's Frida Karlsson. Sophia Laukli rallied after an early fall to take 5th, with Brennan taking 7th. Brennan called the race hectic and stressful, citing a fast course, but said it was, quote, awesome to have 3 of us in the top 10, and that it really showed the team coming back into form. Here's what Diggins had to say.
I'm glad to have kept it together and skied with better tactics today, and I also forgot to set an alarm, so I almost overslept and missed the race. So I'm really glad I woke up in time.
What was your plan the last 2K there?
I was just going as hard as I could and trying to ski smart, but I couldn't really feel my legs, so I was just trying to stay on my feet.
Let's move now to our Fast Facts powered by iFit. Welcome to the world of intelligent fitness. There is no denying that the women's side of the US cross-country team is proving as strong as ever. And Jessie Diggins, Rosie Brennan and Sophia Laukli are leading the charge. Don't forget, Sophia won her first World Cup in Stage 7 of the Tour de Ski, which included that final climb with an incline that reached 28%. The US women's team are second in the Nations Cup standings, ahead of a historically dominant Norway. Well, I'm delighted to say it's time now to welcome in a 2-time Olympic medalist in Moguls, Shannon Barkey. Awesome to have you in studio with us. Not only do you look fantastic, but your Instagram tells us that your spirit animal is a unicorn, and I can see why now. I love it. Love the hair, the boots.
You gotta love sparkles. I love pink, so it's a vibe, so I just go with it.
Perfect. We know Jessie Diggins loves sparkles, so it's big, obviously, in the ski world. Let's talk a little bit about the US women and what they're doing in Moguls this season. Jalen Koff obviously having a wonderful season. There's been so much evolution, it feels like, with the U.S. team. What's your impression of them right now?
I think my favorite thing about this team is how much they love one another. They really seem to just have such a great vibe, both on the slopes and off the slopes. And it reminds me when I was on the team and we had this incredible camaraderie. And when you have that camaraderie, you know, it shows. You press each other on the slopes, off the slopes, and your competition results just get better and better. And I love this team. They're amazing.
Right now, the person that they all need to beat, it seems, comes from Australia. That is, of course, Jakara Anthony. She swept the recent showing in Waterville, walking away with her 9th and 10th World Cup victories this season. So what is it going to take for the US to beat her, or is she just too perfect at moguls? I know Jalen's like hot on her heels. She keeps finishing second, but Jakara seems just hard to topple.
Well, you know, I'm always for the underdog, right? But the thing that impresses me so much about Jakara is you can tell how much intensity she comes with in practice. So I always say, you know, you don't just rise to the occasion, you really fall to the level of your training and preparation. And with her consistency day in and day out in competition, it really shows you the effort, the intensity of what she's doing in practice. What's incredible about mogul skiing, and we're watching Jakara right here, is that you have to have so much balance. So it starts with that strength in your core and your back to really make sure that you're carrying that momentum down the course. So her hands are in a really good position. You can see her knees are stacked right under her shoulders. She's perfectly balanced, and when she lands, she's in that great position to attack the moguls proactively. She's not having to react. So all of that momentum is going down the hill, both up and down and side to side. It is the most fun sport to execute because it's extremely difficult to keep that balance and then jump and do it as fast as humanly possible.
I'm glad you mentioned the jumps because that's another huge part of it. It's like you're trying to conquer these moguls and then you have a couple of aerials thrown in there as well. Do you mind demonstrating to us what it looks like physically to ski moguls?
Yes, absolutely. It's so much fun, and you know, I think one thing that you want to watch when you're skiing moguls is how strong this core is, right? Your front and your back. Your hands have to be forward so that you can keep reaching down the moguls. And one of the things that you really want to do is make sure that you're on balance and you're pulling your knees and absorbing that mogul. And then once you get into this position, pressing down the backside. So you can see my balance is right here. I'm still reaching, I'm still proactive, and my knees are coming up and down and reaching for those moguls.
Okay, the word absorb is key. You've certainly taught me a lot today. It makes sense, actually, whereas you watch and think, how on earth do they stay in control? Let's speak a bit about, we saw one of them in the bump, your 2 Olympic medals. Amazingly, they came 8 years apart. I know you had to overcome as well some incredible injuries during your time. You've proved a lot of perseverance. What went into your work ethic at the height of your career?
Well, I have to tell everybody that I am not the world's best mogul skier, nor was I ever, you know, plucked out to be the best. So I really had to figure out a way to beat the best people. And the way that I did that was through mental and emotional toughness. I worked with a lot of hypnotherapists, a lot of sports psychologists to be able to understand what I was really good at, and in a moment when I needed it the most, how to be able to execute. So I worked incredibly hard on, you know, all of the physical and technical talent that I had. But really, the key to me and my success was figuring out a way to be better mentally and emotionally.
That is great advice. And also, you know, that's such a big part of sport nowadays. It's so nice to hear that you were able to lean on that as well. Thank you so much for coming in studio to shed the light on this kind of wild and wonderful sport that attracts so many talented athletes like you. We appreciate it. Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Go Team USA! Woo!
Yeah, we'll have you back anytime. Stay with us as well, because after the break, we've got another 2-time Olympic medalist, Alex Ferriera, joining us fresh from his 2024 X Games. And yes, he might be golden, but he also knows how to pole twirl. We'll have more when we come back. Well, Aspen's hometown hero, Alex Ferriera, landed the Olympic podium in free skiing in Pyeongchang and Beijing. He never fails to tear it up in competition. If it's ski halfpipe, Ferriera's bringing high energy and a fierce competitive nature to every run. And I'm delighted to say he joins us now, fresh off his win at home in the X Games at Aspen. Alex, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on that victory. And, of course, you've had a great season so far, a couple of World Cup wins in December. How pleased are you with your performance this season so far?
Car, it's a pleasure to be on. Thank you so much for having me. And this season has been an absolute dream. To win the first 3 events has been incredible. I've been working extremely hard to do so, and yeah, I'm insanely grateful.
We heard that you started skiing at the age of 3, and as a kid, you actually first tried Moguls before switching to halfpipe. What prompted that switch for you ultimately?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I was skiing Moguls. That's where I learned all my fundamentals. And then a friend of mine, Tornator Wallace, former member of the U.S. ski team, he said, "Hey, my mom has a video camera, and we are going to go to Buttermilk today. Do you want to come ski?" And I said, "Absolutely, I'd love to." And I called my mom. She said, "You can leave school, get out of there." So I went over there, and I did a 540, did another 540, and he turns over to me, and he goes, "I think you can do a 900. And I don't know, I was thinking, that's a little crazy, but I go, I do the 900, I'm pretty sure I closed my eyes, and then I landed in the transition, and I thought, you know what, that's 100% what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, or at least for as long as I can know.
And that's a good man, by the way, giving you the okay to take it out. But what a nice backstory to hear how you got into halfpipe. You're a 2-time Olympic medalist. I mentioned the silver in Pyeongchang and bronze in Beijing. Tell me, what were those experiences like on the world's biggest stage?
You know, it's such a special experience just to be able to represent not only my community of Aspen or my state of Colorado, but you get to represent the United States. And going into such a big event on the world stage is an absolute pleasure. I loved every second of it. I got to spend a lot of it with some of my best friends, my teammates. The camaraderie was high. To be able to bring home a medal in both instances was an absolutely incredible achievement. So I've got a bronze and a silver now, and I just need to complete the set with gold coming up in Italy.
Yeah, you do. Just a couple of years away, and sounds like you've got the perfect attitude, Alex. Speaking of your home community of Aspen, you just secured your 3rd gold there in the X Games that we spoke about. You know, is a win slightly sweeter when it's at home and in front of a home crowd?
Oh, absolutely. It was the sweetest victory I could have ever imagined. Last year I had a pretty poor showing in Aspen. I fell both runs quite hard. I thought I wasn't going to be okay physically, but it turns out I went to see the doctor. I was totally fine. You know, I come back this year and I give it all of my energy, all of my hard work, and you see your dreams unfold in front of your eyes, and I get 1st place, and it's the most beautiful feeling in front of my family and friends and my hometown.
Hard work really pays off. I have to ask you about your kind of signature move after these electric runs. You have this ski pole twirl. You've got to tell me, where did it originate, and, you know, how has it stuck?
Yeah, the pole spin. Woo! It started naturally, honestly. I landed one run. I forget which run it was a couple of years ago, and I just threw my pole up, and it was totally natural. And I just kept doing it, and then from now on, every time I land a run, that's what happens, and it's now become the Ferriera pole spin, I guess.
Yeah, it's your trademark. We love it. Also, I want to talk to you a bit about trampolines. I know that you use them when training in the off-season. How good is that medium, I suppose, to visualize and perfect tricks when you can't actually get out on the snow?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a wonderful question. We use the trampoline. I use the trampoline in specific about 5 days a week, 20 minutes a day. And just to feel the body awareness, that kinesthetic air awareness while you're in the air is so important and vital to allowing you to do these tricks on snow. It's been an absolute difference maker, and I highly recommend it to anyone who's trying to have fun as well.
What a hard worker. It's been such a pleasure getting to know you, Alex. Thanks so much for making time for us today on the Stifel Snow Show, and we wish you all the best as you continue your competition schedule this season.
My pleasure, Car. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, NBC, and I hope to be on again soon.
Chloe Kim is truly back now since 2022 in Beijing with plenty of tricks up her sleeve, and she pulled out a big one at the 2024 X Games in Aspen. The Torrance, California native and 2-time Olympic gold medalist caught big air and her 7th victory in the snowboard superpipe. As if that wasn't enough, in her victory lap, she became the first woman to land a 1260 in a women's snowboard superpipe competition. Well, Red Gerard eventually had a dream come true in Aspen at his now 8th X Games. The Olympic snowboard slopestyle champion was a little emotional after earning his first gold in this event, posting he was so hyped to land this run. Been thinking about that one for a while. It seems the win was worth the wait. China's Eileen Gu knows all about pain management. The Stanford University student and three-time Olympic medalist wrote pain is temporary on her hand after suffering a hip injury during training. That note to self helped her cope with what she said caused her to barely be able to walk, proving perhaps that challenging the law of gravity for this physics scholar has its literal ups and downs. Somehow she found a way to dig deep, and that digging produced gold in Aspen. Her smile at the victory hardly betrayed what she deemed excruciating. She bowed out the next day. Park City's Troy Podmilsack, a.k.a. T-Pod, walked away from Aspen's X Games with the gold as well in the men's big air competition. T-Pod secured the win by throwing the first forward triple cork 2160 landed at X Games, the same trick that won him a world championship back in March 2023 in Baku Riani. The 19-year-old, of course, was incredibly stoked. Stay with us for more on the Stifel Snow Show. Welcome back to the Stifel Snow Show. Alaska native Andrew Kurka landed on the podium in Cortina, earning his first World Cup win in the downhill sitting event since he broke his shoulder at the 2022 Paralympic Winter Games. Unsurprisingly, the speed specialist's confidence was on full display, saying it was a course that wasn't built to go slow by any means, and that's where I excel. Next, viewer warning, cuteness overload ahead. It seems we have some next-gen alumni kiddos to add to our ones-to-watch list. That's Bodie Miller's 2-year-old Scarlett. She may have Michaela Schifrin fever, but don't blink as you may miss this little one built for speed. Meanwhile, Steve Nyman's 3-year-old Isla had to get a little slowdown warning from Mum. Apparently her skis are faster and Mum's got to keep up. But they know their girl gets after her run, so Mum and Dad, with a little chuckle, had to give in to Isla's determined stance on the slopes. And get this, 6-year-old Jax is back. Well, back in the backcountry, that is. Ted Liggety's guys unstoppable out there, well, except for the occasional stumble, but it seems these kiddos have definitely been learning a thing or two from Dad. Quick CNBC February calendar notes time. Don't miss episode 10 of the Stifel Snow Show. Not to mention Deer Valley Aerials and the Toyota US Grand Prix in free ski and snowboard slopestyle. You want ski jumping, you say? We've got that too. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure being with you here this week on the Stifel Snow Show. I'm Cara Banks, and we'll see you next time.